me that we were getting down. It's hard to dance to punk, though. I know this because I've been to like a bajillion punk shows. Really, the only thing you can do is be like, like that's it. Oh my God. So thank you so much for tuning in tonight to another postmortem breakdown. So we have more stories tonight that people aren't talking about. Shocker. And before I forget, I don't want to forget at the end of the show, two things. Number one, I am super excited that myself and two others from March for Medicare for All will be joining on April 15th, Saturday, 5 p.m. We will be joining a Unity for East Palestine forum and talking about 1881A and the need for healthcare on an environmental level. So I'm really hyped about that. Another announcement, I have just decided to do something, which I will be announcing in the near future. And I am definitely going to need new patrons. And that would be for my show on my channel. So if you go to Savage Joy Marie Man on Patreon, you could do as little as $3 or as much as $25 per month. 100% of it goes to my show, my accessibility devices, my streaming, just 100%. And I'm definitely going to need a few dollars for what I'm planning. So yes, please do if you can. If you cannot do monthly, please, you can Venmo or PayPal. And those links are on my Twitter. So, anyway, I didn't
announcement that you're going to be making an announcement later.
Yes, later in the week, hopefully.
Yes.
But just trust me, it's a big one. That's what she said. Okay, Andrew, what do we have tonight?
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about Starbucks doing some illegal shit. Surprise, surprise.
Shocking.
We're going to be talking about the amount of money that Amazon spent in 2022 to stop union organizing when it came to hiring consultants and such. That'll be fun. And we're going to be talking about a train crash that happened in Kentucky that was carrying a lot of chemicals. Really uplifting stuff right now. We're going to be talking about Rashida Tlaib coming and her take on Assange right now and what she's doing regarding a letter. So we'll talk about takes on that. And then, a couple of other things as well. So I guess we should get started.
And as always, we will end on a funny. So don't be deterred. Yes. We talk reality, and it's dismal as hell, but we always end on a funny. And this is a funny, let me tell you. All right, funny. So let's get started.
All right, so
Stewie.
So many of you may have known that last week Howard Schultz testified in front of the Senate with regards to his illegal union busting tactics and his labor law violations. Labor violations. And I didn't see all of it, but I saw some of it. A lot of it was very frustrating. A lot of politicians that were just kissing ass to Howard Schultz. Surprise, surprise. Politicians.
What's his name? The guy with the big forehead. What's his name? Mitt Romney. He had a few zingers.
Oh, you mean like zingers of like, no one has created jobs like us type of zingers?
Maybe I'm not thinking about the same dude.
I was gonna say Mitt Romney was the worst because he was the CEO of Bain Capital.
Yeah, I must be thinking of someone else. Someone
Yeah.
unexpected had a few zingers.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it definitely wasn't Mitt Romney. I mean, I don't know. Rand Paul just read a whole Ayn Rand passage. I mean,
Oh my
I guess you
God,
could say that's a zinger.
let's not forget. Stacey Abrams said Ayn Rand is her hero, quote unquote.
When did she say that?
Oh, she said it in multiple interviews.
Wow.
Last time she ran, first time she ran.
Okay. Nice.
Yep.
Yeah. So I guess something that Rand Paul and Stacey Abrams have in common. That's great.
Yeah, nice.
And so Starbucks fired. So this has
You
happened.
know what? Maybe he's named after her. Rand.
That's possible. I honestly don't know anyone else named Rand.
I don't think that is a name, really, is it?
I don't know. Does anybody in the chat know anybody named Rand? Now I'm genuinely curious. I mean, I've never heard that name
Rand
other
Paul.
than. It's possible that's actually possible. I'll have to.
I never thought of it, but
maybe Ron Paul just named his son Rand after Ayn Rand.
We'd have to look up his birthday and Atlas Shrugged and see what the year differences are. But that would be pretty interesting. I digress. Anyway.
Yeah. So anyway, a few days after Howard Schultz appeared in front of the Senate, Starbucks fired Alexis Rizzo, who was the employee responsible for igniting the Starbucks Workers United Union campaign, just days after the company's former CEO, Howard Schultz, testified on Capitol Hill about the coffee chain's alleged union busting. Rizzo worked as a shift supervisor at Starbucks for 7 years and served as a union leader at the Genesee Street store in Buffalo, New York, which was one of the first 2 stores in the country to win its union campaign. Starbucks Workers United. I fucking hate. See that fucking ad just pop up? What the hell? Starbucks Workers United. No, it's a CDL training, financial aid available for those who qualify ad. Okay, cool. Starbucks Workers United announced Rizzo's termination. They should pay me for saying that unsolicited.
They're putting it on a blind girl's show that can't drive. Freaking ableist.
So Rizzo said her store managers fired her after she finished working her shift Friday. She said they told her it was because she had been late on 4 occasions, 2 of which were instances where she had been 1 minute late. And the Starbucks told CNBC Rizzo had missed more than 4 hours of work over the course of those instances, and that she had been repeatedly issued write-ups for being late. And so, of course, they're saying they didn't break any violation laws. And then they go back to talking about the hearing. Nearly 300 Starbucks cafes have voted to unionize. We've talked about this under Starbucks Workers United, according to data from the National Labor Relations Board. In total, the union has made more than 500 complaints of unfair labor practices related to Starbucks with the Federal Labor Board. Starbucks has filed roughly 100 of its own complaints against the union. Judges have found that the company has broken federal law 130 times. None of the unionized stores have agreed on a contract yet. And I think it's also worth noting that it takes an average of over 400 days for both parties to sign a collective bargaining agreement once a company, the workers of a company have voted to unionize. So I think that just says how awful representatives usually are of coming to the table once they have unionized. Specifically in Starbucks case, according to TruthDig, Workers have said that several stores have had multiple bargaining sessions, but company reps have kept leaving without without even hearing any offers or any demands, right? Citing excuses like, oh, there are a couple people on Zoom, so this is not a secure place to have a meeting. And so one thing I think that's this article doesn't mention, because it's CNBC, right? And there's going to be some things that probably don't mention, is that a judge found that the company violated 100 federal labor laws just when it came to the Buffalo organizing. So just in the Buffalo site.
Which was the initial one.
Yeah, which was the initial one. And the judge has ordered the company to distribute a video of Schultz reading 13-page notice pledging to refrain from labor law violations. They are, of course, fighting that. I would love to see that video. That'd be a funny video to see. Although kind of similar to, I think, Amazon, didn't some of the managers at Amazon have to read a good portion?
That was hilarious.
So, we could, that would be, we could just create, that'd be funny. We could just show clips of little L's there.
And just troll the hell out of them.
Yeah. So, yeah, that is what the latest has been happening with Starbucks. Joy, what is your reaction to that?
Unfortunately, it's not shocking, and I think it's pretty heartbreaking because these employees, they want to do better, and that's the worst part. Because when you look at interviews with these employees, they say things like, "I love my job. I love working with these people. I love being able to put smiles on people's faces." And they genuinely like being baristas and what have you. And and the ones I've interviewed say the same thing. They time and time again, you hear that. These are not just, I don't care, I can fucking work anywhere for this money.
Right.
Like, that's not these kind of people. These kind of people want to stay. That's why they're trying to unionize. So I cannot even fathom, the dichotomy of like, I can't stand working here because I know they want me to fail, and I love working here because I love my job. Like, how do you reconcile that?
Right. Yeah, I agree. It does. A lot of the people that do work there, they see it as kind of an identity. They take pride in them working there, being baristas, and it's a great. And as this person said, who got fired, they said it was like a family environment, right? They made a lot of great friends doing it, so it's a great place. And I think that kind of just shows, it's an environment where a lot of people are easily able to connect and then talk about, okay, what can we do to make our workplace better, right? And so, yeah. No, that's a very good point. So now I guess we'll go to the Kentucky, what's been happening in Kentucky. So, Joy, do you want me to just read this tweet?
Yeah, you can read it.
Yeah, so Kentucky EEC emergency response team is on the scene of a crashed barge carrying 1,400 tons of toxic methanol that is submerged in the Ohio River. Methanol is highly toxic and completely mixes with water. Municipal water intakes are just miles downstream. The portion of the Ohio River at risk of contamination by this crash serves as the primary source of drinking water for millions of Americans. The river has also been contaminated with toxic chemicals from the East Palestine crash.
So to put this into perspective, it's 1,400 tons, which is 2,000 pounds per ton. It's 1,400 tons of toxicity. Okay, so this is the issue when you hire someone to do the job of a transportation douche canoe with zero experience, who is a complete dumbass. So now it's not just trains. Now we're reading about barges and things like that. Now, I don't know if she's here, but one of the viewers sent me earlier today a TikTok a girl made who lives in Philly, and they got a mass text. 1.5 million people in Philly got a mass text on their phone, like kind of like an Amber Alert, but it was don't drink the water. Okay.
From
this last week, but this is new. They all got texts. Can you imagine how freaking scary that is?
That was from last week, and you're saying that spill?
Yes. Now it's like an update. So, but then she said the worst part was it was sent out during the day, and the text message said it started at midnight. So hours, people have already been drinking the damn water, and then they send out the text. Like, what? And yeah, I mean, I'm a Philly girl, so yeah, it hits home. This shit pisses me the fuck off. But like, it's the same chemicals that have been released in East Palestine. It is the same exact chemicals. So this isn't, people for years have thought, this is Flint. And Flint is just awful.
Yeah.
But in Pennsylvania, we've also had this shit for years. Not Philly, but like a bunch of places out past Lancaster and places I've visited that I've protested and stuff. I mean, drinking water I will not drink my faucet water. It is disgusting. It tastes so gross. We drink jug or use Brita. It's so gross. So this is happening all across the country, and water is life. If you cannot, you're telling millions of people that they need to have the money to buy water when they're paying for water in their monthly bills. That is not okay. That is unacceptable. And just like they did in Flint, in Flint, they were putting liens on people's houses for not paying their water bills, even though they couldn't use the water. Like, it's astounding. It's absolutely astounding. So, no, I'm sorry if you don't have money. I'm sorry if you're unemployed. I'm sorry if your kids need to eat. You need to take money and go buy a bunch of bottled water. That is violence. That is so fucked up. And it's happening everywhere.
Yeah. No, well said. And I think it's wild to think, going off of what you're saying, how much companies like Poland Spring, right? Just these water bottle companies, how much money they make from all this water that people are supposed to have as a right. That's supposedly free, although they pay a water bill. But right, the whole is it's cheaper than buying bottled water. All these water companies are making bank because of terrible regulations when it comes to railroads and trains that are just dumping toxic chemicals in there. And so, it's and it just continues. It continues to get worse and worse, and more train derailments are happening that are causing this. And that is, I did not know that piece about Philly last week, but that is absurd. Just how many people had water. I mean, you do have to wonder how this is going to catch up to people health-wise, just being exposed to all these chemicals. Because I think we're not really even going to find the full repercussions till 30 years later, right? 20, 30 years later. I mean, Flint in its own, right? There's so many children who, from that lead, have just been brain damaged from it.
Disabilities, skin disorders, organ failure. I mean, but you know what? Obama drank from the water. Oh, wait, it was a fake drink? Oh, okay. Well, at least he showed up.
Yeah. I really haven't highlighted, so want to just highlight. Yeah, so Jenna says water bill is significant. One thing Jenna said too. Yeah, so next they just going to quit telling us. Right, you do have to wonder after a while.
Absolutely.
They're just going to quit acknowledging when these things happen and when the water is not suitable to drink, because it's going to be happening so often.
The only reason they really sent out that mass text, let's think about it, is because they don't want lawsuits. It's that simple. But it's getting to the point where they know they're not going to be able to get sued successfully anyway. Corporations are more powerful than people. It's reality. It shouldn't be that way, but it is. Look what they're doing to Comrade Steven Donziger. Like, we all know this. They just try to cover their asses. That's all it is.
Right. Yeah. And then Lucky says, hey fam, I'm here. Just have my hands busy sorting some stuff out. Welcome, Lucky. Who else? Trees 273 says Schultz needs to pay his people. This is from last topic. Yes.
You know what, though? Pay his people. You guys remember? What's that?
I didn't say anything. You may have heard the dog in the background.
No, I know. I can tell you guys apart. Do you guys remember that douche ran for president in 2019? That was
yes.
Essentially before so much of this came out. I mean, we didn't know half of what we know now. And looking back, it's just like, I cannot believe the hubris of that guy running for president. That's like Bezos running for president. I mean, it's absolutely bananas.
Well, if you can,
business people should not run for president. Period. What's that?
Right. I remember hearing. Yeah, my internet's all fucked up right now. Speaking of things getting more expensive and the quality decreasing, used to do these shows and used to have hardly any problems with internet. Price went up, and now I feel like every 10 minutes the bar goes on this little screen saying, "Oh, you're so sorry about that, everybody." Anyway,
my streaming service went up. My blind accessibility things went up. Everything went up, and I'm still not having great, results with the show. It's infuriating.
I'll try and get the dog on here, Jenna.
Is Jenna asking for the puppers?
Days. Yeah, Jenna's like, did I hear a dog? Need to see the dog.
Yeah, that's all she's going to concentrate on for the rest of the
show. But I was just going to say, there actually were articles, I remember briefly, I think it was in 2018 or 19, where they were seriously saying, ooh, would Jeff Bezos be a good person to challenge Trump?
I remember that.
Yeah, that was a serious
I'm not
thing
looking
for
at his
a hot
penis head
second.
every day.
Well, to be fair, that was before the penis head situation. You know, he hadn't quite created like they had those rockets. He didn't create them, but
That would be the campaign symbol.
So that just made. What is wrong with my? Sorry, everybody. My streaming is not doing.
Why don't you go out and come back in and see if that works?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Sorry, guys. Not sure what's happening. This is why it's so frustrating to do a show when you have like shit connections and like, you know, my Patreon is really suffering and I have to not use everything because of expenses and it's, you know, not really helping the show. Now you're on the other side, sir.
Yeah, I'll reorder in a second. I'm just trying to look for our next our next thing. I didn't even realize we were just talking about Bezos, and the next thing we had to talk about is Amazon. I didn't even put together that was like the perfect segue, and the only thing that killed the segue was my internet troubles. All right.
There we are.
Can you hear me better?
Yes. See, okay, so I know I'm on your right.
All right.
But no, don't do that, you dingle. Put me back. There.
There we go.
Because I am to the left of
maybe it is StreamYard. I don't know.
I don't know, but it's annoying as hell, whatever it is.
Luckiest. Yeah, this is honestly the worst it's ever been, at least for me.
It is.
I don't know what the. Oh, all right. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, adding. I'm gonna give my utilities company a call tomorrow. All right. Let me get rid of these ads. Come on. All right. Yeah, there's a picture of Jeff ads. All right. Come on. There we go. Whew. All right. Amazon, 14 anti-union consultants in 2022. Can you hear me?
So, I mean,
all right.
To think about
on anti-union consultants in 22.
So what's crazy about that is if you break it down, how much would it have cost to give these employees another $1 an hour, better insurance, sick time? Do you think it would have cost $12 million? It might have, but it would have been for benefit of your employees. But the fact that they were so willing to spend $12 million in 1 year to try and keep their associates down,
14.2. Yeah.
It's gross. So can I just say how fucking insane it drives me when people are like, oh yeah, stand with Starbucks workers and shit, and then they go to Starbucks? Because it's fucking infuriating. Like, keep buying your $7 coffee. You're enabling that asshole to keep doing this shit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see, ever since all the union busting has been happening, what has happened with the profits, right? Have his profits decreased? Have they, that is one thing I don't know about, but it'd be interesting to look into.
I know at Christmas, There was an article that said that Amazon had a really, really low year for their stock.
Yes. I remember seeing that.
And Black Friday. They had the worst
Yeah.
Black Friday in like over a decade.
Hell yeah. And so one interesting statistic that this article in the Huffington Post says is the company pays firms around $3,000 per day plus expenses for each consultant according to filings, right? And so I think one of the things is that I guess it's a law for them to disclose how much money they spend on anti-union activity,
Yes.
and that's where 14 million came from. This is compared to 4.3 million they spent in 2021. So that just shows how much more they are worried about, unionizations and workers coming together. So, uh, and we saw some of those videos. I think it was in one of the other areas near the JFK Staten Island spot where there were just people blatantly tearing down billboards talking about unionizing. And so, yeah, it's documented and recorded. You see it in action, and it's wild how much they're getting paid. And one of the things I will say, I think it was actually Ed Markey, who I do have a lot of issues with. He brought up to Howard Schultz in the hearing, he was like, if you can spend all your money on your consultants, your anti-union consultants, you can pay your workers a decent wage, right? And this goes to Amazon as well, where it's like all this money that you're spending is probably more, that costs more than how much you're spending just to help, pay them more when they're unionized. And that just shows, once again, unions are, the whole thing that they hate about unions is that they limit the amount of control that they have over their employees. It's not necessarily always about profitability. They're willing to dump a lot of money if it means that they have more control in the long run. So,
but here's the irony. Even if you do look at it from a business standpoint, which you shouldn't, but even if you do, higher pay puts employees in a better mood. These employees deal with customers. That's a good thing. Better insurance means they will have preventative care, which can stop them from getting sick and calling out, which is also beneficial to the employer. Like, there are benefits to actually treating your associates well. Also, how about all the people who quit, who leave? You put more money into this, they're not going to leave even half as quick as they will with you treating them like this. And thousands of dollars go into training at each store into people who end up quitting right away.
Right.
So even from a business standpoint, it's way more prudent to treat your employees better.
And it's the same thing I think about too when it comes to Medicare for all, right? From a business standpoint, employers should be supporting Medicare for all because that's actually less money that they have to pay for the health care of their employees. But it's the same type of thing. Your company has so much control over you because it's like, oh, you're going to quit your job. Even though it sucks, you're going to quit your job and then lose your health insurance and go on Cobra, which nobody wants to fucking go on Cobra. So, it's the same type of parallel to what you were saying there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, now we're going to switch gears and talk about Rashida Tlaib. So I think this will be an interesting discussion. Rashida Tlaib, who's advocating for Julian to be freed. So, do you want me to read this
Okay,
article?
so first, before we go here, I want to ask the viewers a question. Is this better late than never? Or what the fuck took you so long? Like, fuck you. Or is it a mixture of both? Or what are you guys feeling about this? Because at first I was like, fuck you. He's been locked up over 3 years. But then I was kind of like, better late than never, I guess, because at least they're actual representatives and bringing attention to it. Like, I don't know. Where do you guys lie?
The second. So Jenna says the second.
Okay, so fuck them.
And then Miguel also seems to say this. By the way, F Rashida Tlaib. No. I mean, my question is, what's the motive behind this, right? Like, this is, like, why now, right? So I'm curious if anybody would have any take on why now. Because objectively, this is a good thing, even if it's, like, late. And so gotta meet the moment these days. Curious what that means. If something comes of it, it won't, then we'll talk. Right.
I almost, like, I can't. Usually people only say such a drastic thing if they're running for office. But, like, I've really racked my head around about this. And honestly, like, I can't even help but wonder if it's because, like, Marianne is so outspoken about Assange and she's now running for president. Like, the timing is weird. I don't know. I don't know what the all of a sudden shit is. Like you said, it's good. I'm glad. We need everyone possible to fight for him. But you're taking selfies smiling with Biden. So you should be, if you're all chummy with him, you should have asked him about this shit day one.
Well, and here's the thing. I was reading this article. Maybe you might know a little bit more of this. It seems like the whole idea is that there's a letter and they're getting people to sign this letter to then present it to Merrick Garland saying that Julian Assange should be freed. Okay. What is the plan beyond that, though? Like, who's to say that Merrick Garland is even going to honor that letter? It's going to sit on this desk. So that is, I think, the question. You know, it's like Merrick Garland can make a motion to not have him come here, right? Release Assange, right?
As can Biden.
As can Biden. Obviously Biden. But Merrick Garland also is in the power to do that, correct?
Yeah. He can say no extradition. I mean, Obama didn't for 8 years.
Right.
Now, Julian was still, like, technically house arrest, but he wasn't in Belmarsh being murdered.
Right.
So that's the thing. Where do we go after that petition? Right. Then what? Because this is like, if he comes here, he's
yeah.
If he comes here, he's dead.
Right.
If he comes here, he's dead. And so is freedom of the press and freedom of speech. It's done. We have none anymore. So this is so fucking important. And I really, really, really want to see who signs this. Because Ro Khanna has sat on my show 4 times saying he supported Assange. I want to see his name on that. I want to see Bernie Sanders' name on that, since he's stuck up numerous times for Ed Snowden and he hasn't said shit about Assange. I want to see certain people's names on that fucking thing.
So let's talk about whose name is on there so far, because that is one thing this article does mention. Bowman, Omar, Bush, Ro Khanna said he has yet to see the letter, but added that he has previously said Assange should not be prosecuted. As you just said, he's acknowledged that on when you've had him on, because the charges are overbroad and a threat to press freedom. Jayapal is not listed as a signee, but told the Seattle audience recently she believes the charges should be dropped. AOC says that she intends to sign before the letter closes. When I'm not sure when the letter is going to close. I mean, I do wonder, this letter, people aren't going to know about this letter unless it's talked about, right? And the only way for Merrick Garland to actually feel the pressure is for people to talk about it, right? So the mainstream media is not going to talk about it. So that's why it's like, okay, this is a step, but what is if you really want this to be something you advocate for, what are you going to do to actually be on the letter, make it well known, put the pressure on? Because as we know, the institutions are not on they are definitely on Garland's side. They are not on Assange's side. So yeah,
I think a few things. I think number one, they realize pretty much every leftist can't stand them. And they're trying to get back at least a little part of respect, which, 99% of the people, it's not going to work on. But then also, if they are serious about this, they will use that bully pulpit and they will call a hearing. They will go down on that congressional floor and they will take that letter with those petition signatures and they will say X amount of Congress people sign this, free Julian Assange now, and they will speak on it at a live hearing. Like, that letter, cool, okay, great. But then what?
Right.
There's no, do we know if Biden's even going to look at it? If Garland's even going to look at it? What are they going to do? Sit it on a pile? Ignore it? Do a hearing. Go down there on the floor, call them the fuck out, and say, free him. Hands down. Like, if you're going to talk about it, be about it. These fucking, these little, we're going to sign papers and stuff. That's how you begin. That is not like the end all be all. That's how you start. And then you build from there. So they're going to need a lot more than that. Furthermore, there's over 120 people on the Progressive Caucus. Where are all those signatures? And why do people like AOC say, I'm gonna sign, but I haven't yet? Like, what do you mean? What do you mean you haven't yet?
Well,
and Pramila, like,
I mean, yeah,
I haven't signed, but I do support him being free. Like, what does that even mean? You're hoping people don't see you say that? You just want, you don't want your name on it?
Well, I mean, it's possible. I mean, according to Ro Khanna, he hasn't seen the letter yet, so it's possible that they're slow on distributing the letter as well to people. So
I don't know, because I don't know. Can't they do it online?
I mean, probably. Yeah, I don't know what the can. Does it have to be?
They can fax that shit to each other.
They could.
I don't know. Yeah. I just feel like if it were me, I'd be like, what number are you in? I'll be there within a half an hour. What office?
Yeah.
Like, if you're passionate about something, do it. Like, this man's been in prison over 3 years. Surely you can go to your fucking office and sign this.
Sure. Yeah.
But you know what? It was announced today that Jill Biden wants some of the women from the women's basketball championship to come to the White House. Yes, Queen. How about inviting Stella Assange and the little boys? How about that? Now, there's people I'd like to see at the White House. Like, they act like this is like a fucking pop culture thing. Like, I
Yeah.
don't care about sports teams going to the White House. Have Mumia there, have Julian there, have Leonard Peltier there. Like, those are things that actually matter.
Mm.
But they don't make as good, photo ops are just not as good. Priorities.
Yeah, for sure. So, talking now about healthcare. So, this is something that has gone under the radar. And of course, Obamacare is shit. And there are some things that have just been repealed. At least the judge has repealed it. We'll see if it ever when it gets to the Supreme Court, what they do. But don't hold your breath. We know what the Supreme Court is like right now. So one of the most important parts of the Affordable Care Act is in its requirement that insurance companies cover preventive care. As we approach a full generation of people who have come of age under the protections provided by the ACA, it's easy to forget in the times before, it was incredibly difficult for poor people to get preventive care and very expensive for middle-class people to do the same. That meant a lot of times people just had to wait to get sick before their insurance plans even kicked in. For those who had insurance, it meant that a lot of people wouldn't get mammograms or colonoscopies. It meant a lot more negative health outcomes and human suffering. That critical and life-saving aspect of the ACA has for now been gutted by one man, U.S. District Judge for the Northern District of Texas, Reed O'Connor. O'Connor, who was appointed to the bench by George W. Bush, is a far-right extremist who has made it his life's mission to destroy the ACA. He tried to take down the act multiple times, including once when he declared the individual mandate of the heart of the law unconstitutional. And so on Thursday, he fired. Thursday, he fired his latest salvo against the ACA by overturning the part of the law that requires insurance companies to cover several kinds of preventive care, from cancer screenings to PrEP, the drug that prevents the transmission of HIV. That's pretty important. O'Connor is regularly overturned by his conservative brethren on the Supreme Court. And so I'm going to skip a little bit because this is a lot, but his latest decision will lead directly to death. So how did he attack this? So the PSTF is one of three agencies, along with Health Resources and Service Administration and the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, that determine what preventative care falls under the mandatory coverage requirements of ACA. Congress created this agency as an independent body to provide guidance on what should be covered under preventive care. O'Connor decided that this violated the Appointments Clause of the Constitution and declared the agency null and void. So now this agency is useless and is no longer there to decide what is preventive care and what isn't, making Obamacare even worse than it already is. And so one of the things, too, that previously was under this preventive care was prenatal, right? And so they make an excellent point where it's like, now that reproductive rights abortion rights are being stripped, now prenatal care is going to probably rise up, and this essentially is a federal thing. It's going to become a federal thing. So this is going to be affecting a lot more people, and it could affect health insurance coming down the road, or healthcare down the road. So wanted to share this because this is pretty frightening.
And Biden, when he ran, he talked about a public option, which is absolute garbage, but he hasn't even done that.
Nope.
Like, it's literally been 2.5 years, and he has not even uttered the words healthcare. I mean, that the ACA was on his watch, and even he doesn't care that they're trying to gut it. What's that say? He does, and I get called anti-Ukraine for saying this, but I'm going to state a fact. We are paying for Ukraine's healthcare right now.
Yeah.
There are articles that break down what the money we're giving them is paying for. That's not me being xenophobic. That is me literally stating a fact that we are paying for another country's healthcare currently, while millions.
They're not the only country whose healthcare the U.S. is providing for that's better than the healthcare that they provide for us. I mean, Israel also has.
I was going to say we pay for Israel.
Right. So yeah, we cover people's healthcare, which again, healthcare is a human right. Not upset that they have healthcare. Yeah, not upset that they have healthcare, but no, when you have 20 million people here that do not have healthcare.
Oh, it's 40 million.
40 million.
Plus millions more that are underinsured.
Underinsured, yeah. So, yeah.
And that's what's frustrating, because you're right. People aren't talking about this. Like me, Lucky, and Vegan, we tried to get a hashtag going for SNAP benefits, Save SNAP. March 1st, over 15 million people lost SNAP benefits. Over 15 million. This month, millions more, over 30 million estimated, are going to lose their Medicaid expansion. Who the fuck's talking about it besides us? Because please put, if there's any other YouTubers talking about this, because these are people's lives, and if you have a platform and all you're fucking talking about is like, fucking Sam Cedar and that kind of bullshit, who the fuck cares? You have a platform. Educate people on this shit that is literally killing people. And the fact that there's Republican people right now trying to end the pandemic, okay, officially, that means, and Biden is voting with them,
right?
That means they're not getting their Medicaid expansion back, because that was for the pandemic. They're not getting that SNAP back. That was for the pandemic.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, mutual aid, and then don't say a fucking thing about shit like this.
I thought, though, that it was Sam Cedar's fault that people lost SNAP benefits.
Well, I mean, it is.
It is.
But
it's definitely his. Yeah. All right. So the last thing we're going to be talking about is, Joy, you wanted to talk about Bowman and what he was saying in so should I play the video of Bowman?
Yeah. Hopefully it won't cut out.
Okay.
Children at all. Cowards. Pressure them. Force them to respond to the question, why the hell won't you do anything to save America's children? And let them explain that all the way up until Election Day of 2024. Let them explain it all the way up to Election Day of 2024. They're freaking cowards. They're gutless. We're not here. I'm talking about gun violence.
There's never been
I'm talking about gun violence
in a school that allows teachers to carry.
Carry guns? More guns lead to more death. More guns lead to more death. Look at the data. You're not looking at any data. You're carrying the water for the gun lobby. Look at the data. More guns lead to more deaths. States that have open carry laws have more death. States that have open carry laws have more death. Are you listening to what I'm saying? What caused their children are dying? 9-year-old children. Because the solution is not arming teachers. Have you ever worked in a school? 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 It's a yes or no question. Have you ever worked in a school? You will not answer my question. Don't stop and talk to me. Okay, I'll bring it down a notch.
All right, folks.
Have you ever
Listen,
worked in the school?
I've got a bill to repeal.
I worked in the school for 20 years.
You're just screaming.
I was a teacher. I was screaming before you came and interrupted me. I worked in the school for 20 years. So I worked in the school 20 years.
In every school,
I was a teacher. I was a school counselor. I was a middle school principal. I was in cafeterias protecting kids every day of my career.
There's never been a shooting. Never been a shooting. It's time. Look, we've got guns here to protect us. And we believe the kids should have somebody to protect them. Every school that's allowed it has never had a shooting, not even an accidental discharge in any of the schools. So. Yeah, absolutely. Next week, I'm reintroducing.
All right.
A lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
My first thought when I saw this was, I don't know if you guys remember this. There's a lot of devout viewers here tonight, but we covered this one gentleman who went up to Bowman, who I'm now calling Showman because he's fake as fuck, who went up to him at, I'm not sure what it was. It was some kind of like gala type thing at a bar. And he went up to him very respectively and was like, asked him about healthcare. And Rep Bowman decided to say, are you really going to approach me without calling me congressman? This is how you need to address me. Hi, Congressman Bowman. Hi, Rep Bowman. And he went off on this dude with this fucking sanctimonious bullshit about how he didn't call him congressman when the gentleman was perfectly polite and did not touch him, did not get in his face, and he was telling him he was being abrasive. And the dude was not in the least. And then, so that's the first thing I thought of. And then I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, you're putting your hands on him. You're in his face. You're yelling at him. That dude did none of that. None of it. He was talking normally. And it just infuriates me because, like, stop your fucking grandstanding, dude. You literally are sending billions to Ukraine that you keep voting for that are blowing up 9-year-olds with your fucking weapons. Okay, so I'm sorry, those aren't American kids, so you don't care. But what the fuck? You show up in your Wu-Tang shirt on the Capitol steps like you're so fucking cool, like, oh, he's one of us. And then now you're talking about force them to listen. We tried force the vote. You didn't go that route. So he is such a hypocrite. I cannot stand him. I absolutely cannot stand him. I think it's absolute bullshit that he thought it was okay to do this when he has absolutely went off on people who have addressed him perfectly fine. It's kabuki theater is bullshit. But I will say, as far as Renee Johnston, who was on like 2 weeks ago, she came on my show. She and Andrew was there for most of it. She made a post that was very valid. And she said, this is kabuki theater, and you can feel that way all you want because it is, but don't use this as angry black man. And she's
right.
Absolutely
right.
And
that's what they were making it out to be. Yeah. And that is what they were making it out to be. And I think my take is a little different in this sense. His energy on this didn't bother me, him yelling it. And because I think if you feel passionate about something and you're frustrated that nothing is being done about it, he is in the right to do it. And it creates more people to actually see what's going right, because I think it actually worked that this video was recorded and that people saw it. My issue is that he only does this when it's safe, right? It's safe as a Democrat to be for gun control, right? It's not as safe to be for things like Medicare for all. It's not as safe to be anti-war. And he refuses to do that, right? He says that he's for Medicare for all, but whenever people have put up a vote for Medicare for all when it's on a hearing, you don't see him talking like he did about gun control, right? So I honestly have no issue with how he spoke to Rep. Massey either, because if you're passionate about it and you believe that people like Massey are keeping a bill that's killing people, right? Regardless of how you feel about the issue, talk to him that way. I do not give a shit, right? I do, though, care when you are selective and act bold when that's something that, as a Democrat, if you're, being for gun control at this point is a given. I think one thing that I found extremely disturbing that Representative Massey said was he was trying to then use that platform to say that we should arm teachers, and which I think is up, you want more of a teacher shortage. Yeah. Propose that they pass a bill that they get armed. You're going to have a lot of teachers walk out of that. And if you are wanting to arm teachers, you better pay them like 10 times as much as they're getting paid now, right? So I wanted to bring that up, and I definitely do agree. I know you, when you quote tweeted that tweet, you said ignore that take, but a lot of people on the right are portraying him as an angry black man, which is also disgusting because white Congresspeople yell all the time, and they're thought of
Lauren Breitbart or Marjorie Taylor Greene just do it at the State of the Union like 2 weeks ago.
Exactly.
It was gross then, right?
Right.
But yeah, like this, I don't like anyone putting their hands on anybody. That bothers me for any reason. I don't like that. Mm-hmm. And no, that's not that to me. You can yell, you can get angry. I do, but I haven't put my hands on someone like that. And I'm not saying he was trying to fight. I'm just saying don't put your hands on people. Give them their personal space, even if it's just to try and get their attention. But my issue with this overall is that it was disingenuous. He wasn't doing this because he genuinely cares about kids. He was doing it for himself. And that's what's frustrating. Because if I didn't know anything about this dude at all, I would have been like, yeah, oh my God, yes, we need that energy. Yes. But knowing who he is and the way he's acted before, it's fake. And I can't help that I know that.
Yeah.
I was going to say something else, and I forgot what it was. Damn. Oh, so I saw a meme about a week ago, and it said, let's give black teachers guns and see how well that works out. And I thought, oh my God, if a black man as a teacher had a gun because he was a teacher and the police came in, he would be dead like that, even though he did nothing wrong. And I thought, I just got goosebumps thinking about that. Yeah. I said, oh my God, I didn't even think about that. Can you imagine? Every black teacher would end up getting shot.
Well, and I think it's also just thinking about, say, if white teachers had guns, and there, of course, we would hear about times when teachers would pull a gun out because a student is a threat, right, or they feel intimidated, and thinking about too how disproportionately it'll probably be on black students as well, right? Like, so that's the other way to look at it as well. Like, there's definitely going to be racial disparities in terms of, like,
that's true,
when a teacher is going to feel like they needed to use a gun.
That's very
when it was
true.
not And so, yeah, it's, yeah, but,
it's freaking crazy. I'm just like, I'm thinking about my best man, my dear friend who teaches 6th grade history, who is like the biggest lover, not a fighter, and the biggest dork. Like, he literally brings metal detectors to the beach. He's a freaking dork, and I love him.
Metal detectors to the beach?
Yeah, like he's one of those. And I cannot even fathom him being in the same vicinity of a gun, let alone picking one up. It's so bananas, and I know he's not the only teacher like that.
So I guess it's time for us to do the funny on a high note, after we just talked about the potential of teachers one day having to carry guns in schools. And so just going to add, anything you want to say about this before I add this funny to the screen?
No, let's let the people enjoy this. Last year I had this genius idea, and April Fool's, a prior co-host whom we miss so much, Logan, the three of us, myself, Logan, and Andrew, I approached them with an April Fool's joke that is quite epic. So yeah, this was our, what people did not know was an April Fool's joke. Thank you for being a friend.
Thank you for being a friend.
Down the road.
Oh, did it pause?
Back again. Your heart is true. You're now a confidant. And if you threw a party, you invited everyone you knew.
Invited everyone you knew.
You would. From me and the card attack would say thank you for being a friend.
Ha 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 ha.
Hey.
Woo!
Oh my god, I can't. That was so funny. So, like, we were live. I'm crying. That shit's so hilarious. We were live, and I was like, okay, guys, we have a huge announcement. Postmortem Breakdown, the band. And then, Andrew, that was from high school, wasn't it?
That French horn?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I did it some of college too, but yeah. Yeah.
So he hasn't broken that out in like years. And then Logan was playing their freaking keyboard unplugged. Okay. And I had a freaking tambourine. Oh my god. That was so funny. I was trying to think of like the perfect song we could do. And I was like, this is a song everyone knows. Let's do this. Yeah, that was so fucking hilarious. Oh my god. And then we were like, April Fools, and everyone was like, no, that was so good.
No, I thought this was a legitimate band. I thought you were all good.
Yeah, literally nobody said that. So Andrew, you got into it though. You're like, hey.
I was like, yeah, I was like, all right, we're done playing. Let me just sing along.
Oh my god. Oh, that was great. We've had so many great times on the shows together. I mean, oh my God, Andrew. I don't know what I'd do without you. But yeah, Logan is actually like for real a singer and guitar player and all of those things. And they are coming out with a new song on Friday. They're at Logan Grendel, focused on infinity on Twitter. So shout out to them. And check them out. They have a huge TikTok as well. So yeah, we miss them very much here. But yeah, so what do you have coming up, Saya?
Not too much. Just taking it easy. Chilling. What about you?
Sounds like a blast. I have a surprise. I'm outside your door. No, just kidding. So as I said at the beginning of the show, April 15th, Saturday, 5 p.m., March for Medicare for All. We'll be joining the Unity for East Palestine Forum. We'll be talking about 1881A and healthcare. It'll be myself and two others from our group. And I do have some shows next week that I will be posting about. And I have a huge announcement coming out shortly, hopefully by the weekend. And I definitely need new patrons to pull it off. So Savage Joy Marie Man on Patreon, if you can help me out, either $3 a month through $25 a month. Anything helps, even if you want to do like one-time donations through PayPal or Venmo. Anything helps. And I truly appreciate it. Also, I do want to request Indianapolis, Indiana, surrounding areas. If you are within driving distance or don't mind traveling of Indianapolis, and you are a national Medicare for All supporter, disabled, activist, organizer, if you have medical debt, if you are without health care, if you have whatever, please reach out to me on Twitter, please. I have a proposition to do something with that. So again, if you're in Indianapolis area or are cool with driving, yes, please reach out to me. But otherwise, thank you guys so much for tuning in. And I'll be updating my future shows. I'll be going live at least one other time this week. So